Hello everyone, Lock Garden Bird Lady here coming to you guys with a video, and this is my second video in the series I call Parrots and True Crime. This time I'm going, thank you sweetheart, y'all both joining in. This time I'm going to talk about Ethan Couch and the crazy case of Affluenza. So let's jump right into it. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If this is not your first time, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that you do decide to join the family and stay by hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and ring that bell. Now, again, this is a very diverse channel. I talk about all types of things on this channel. I mostly try to keep everything centered around parrots, but I never know what I'm going to talk about until I press record. So make sure you turn on notification bells so when I do post a true crime video or a parrot video or whatever the reason is that you decide to subscribe to the channel, because I know you're going to subscribe, make sure you won't miss those types of videos by turning on that notification bell. That was kind of awkward, but you know what I'm trying to say. So if this is your first time here, these are my parrots. I have Danny. Where are you going? I have Danny here on my shoulder, and I have Casper here, and I'm probably going to have to put one of them away because it is a little hard to focus. As you can see, Danny, he just usually stays in one spot. Casper likes to really move around and mess with things, so let's see if I can get him to stay up here for the duration of the video. Don't know what I was talking about, but just look around. I'm pretty sure you'll find something that you like on this channel, unless you have bad taste, in which I don't know what to tell you, because I mean, look at these glasses. You can tell I don't have bad taste. I'm probably going to have to take my glasses off because with the glare and the lights that I have in here, the camera is really having a problem focusing. Please don't put it in my hair, sir. I love you too. Before you jump into this video, I just want to make sure that you are in a good headspace, because anytime you're tackling true crime videos, I mean, you have to be in a really good space mentally, physically, and emotionally before trying to tackle true crime videos. So if you're not in a good headspace, this is not the video that's going to help you to decompress and feel better. It's probably going to make you feel worse and make you a little upset. So make sure you go and you tackle your own personal issues before jumping into this video. It will be here for you when you feel like you can handle it. So I promise you it'll be here for you. But your health, mental health, and spiritual health is more important than anything. So yeah. Just make sure you're in a good headspace. Now, to cover all legalities, I do want to say a full copyright disclaimer is in effect. This video is covered under the Fair Use Act, copyright section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. So this video is for commentary, entertainment, and news purposes only. I do not mean any offense to anyone that is mentioned in this video, especially not the victims. I've actually decided to make this video my second one in this series because it is a little bit lighter than the one that I did with my Treese Richardson. If you haven't seen that video, I will put a link to it in the description box below. But in that video, this case came up again. I'm going to take my glasses off because my camera is not focusing on. Okay, that's better. So in this video, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about I was actually having a conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about children and disciplining and accountability. And, I was just really trying to tell them, like, you have to give them that accountability, that responsibility, or you could be putting them in a unfair situation when it comes to law. Because when children feel like they don't have to have accountability, they don't have to have responsibilities, a lot of times you will see them that trickle onto society. And it was somewhat of a disagreement. And you get the whole when you have children, then you can tell me what to do with my own children, that type of thing right there. So I started to tell them about this case and about how sometimes you think you're doing right by spoiling your children and not allowing your children to really just be responsible and hold them accountable and discipline your children. But a lot of times you can be really putting them at a disadvantage to where they begin to think, that the rules and the laws just do not apply to them. So I decided that I will I would do this type of case for my second video since it came up in that conversation. So yeah, when I was young, you know, I'm pretty sure what I went through as a child, the discipline that I received as a child was just straight abuse. I'm pretty sure it was just straight abuse. But I came out okay. Did I get in trouble? Yes. Did I make some of the wrong decisions? Yes. Did I break the rules? Yes. Did I do a bunch of dumb, stupid crap? Something that was so stupid that landed me in jail for 2 days and I thought it was 2 years? Yes, it has happened. But yet and still, I thank God for the discipline that I did get growing up. And I thank God I thought my dad was really, really hard on me growing up, but it really, really helped me to become a really responsible person. It took me a while to learn the lessons that my dad and my mom was trying to teach me, but I thank God for them because it really helped me later on in life. And everything that my parents said to me, everything that they taught me, everything that they instilled in me, eventually one day I had to face it. And without them being as hard on me as they were, I don't think I would be where I am now. I probably would be dead. I probably would be still an alcoholic. I probably will be still on drugs. I probably will be still, you know, homeless and in the street. I probably still would be all of these things if my parents had not been so hard on me. With my dad basically saying, if you can't do this, you gotta go. At that time, I thought it was really hard, and other people thought it was hard as well, but it really helped me. I had to go through so much before I saw what my dad was trying to tell me. If I just would have listened to what my dad was saying in the first place, I wouldn't have had to have all of that self-inflicted pain. Like someone said something about they was like, you know, basically blaming my dad what I went through when I was younger. And I was like, no, I don't blame my dad what I went through. My dad gave me a choice. I mean, you're either going to be a responsible individual in this house, you're going to pay your bills in this house, you're going to go to school, you're going to work, you're going to do this, you're going to be in at this time, or you got to go. I chose not to follow the rules, so I had to go. I would have really not had as much respect for my dad as I do now had he laid all those rules out for me and did not follow them, did not adhere to them. And what really helped me just to be the person that I am today is because I did have to find my own way. Is because I did have to struggle. Is because I didn't have everything handed to me. It is because my parents said, no, you can't do that. And, you know, it helped me. And so I kind of went on a little rant there. But in this case here, we're going to talk about Ethan Couch. Now, Ethan Couch was born. Now, there is timestamps. I know a lot of people don't like to hear about the past and the childhood and all that good stuff. But there are timestamps in the description box below. I really do recommend that you watch the childhood because it all begins to make you understand why this case is just so outrageous and why he did what he did and basically had no remorse for what he did. So Ethan Couch was born April the 11th, 1997 in Burleson, Texas. He was the only son of Fred and Tonya Couch. Now, I'm probably going to say Crouch a lot of times because in my head, I just want to say Crouch, but you know I mean Couch. So, Fred, he founded his own metal roofing company in 1986, Cleburne Metal Roofing Company, Cleburne Metal Work. Per year, he averaged around almost $10,000 a year, $9.59 a year, $9.59 million a year. So almost $10 million a year that this man was making. Tonya, his mother, was a registered nurse. Up. Very good. You can't stay up there. So Tonya, his mom, was a registered nurse. Ethan literally was born with millionaire parents. So since he was a little bitty child, from the time that he can remember, he always received lavish gifts, the best vacations, all of these good things. All of these things. They lived in a huge 5,000 square foot home, ranch style home, and it sat on 6 acres of land in Burleson, Texas. They gave Ethan everything he wanted. He wanted gifts, he wanted money, whatever it was, they gave it to him. But they, as usually with really wealthy parents, they did not give him the love and attention that he needed. They felt like them giving him gifts was them giving him love. But, you know, they had to keep up, you know, put on airs in society, had to keep up their status and everything. So they didn't give in. Can you please stop? People are going to click off the video because you're making all this noise. Can you please stop? Casper's not saying anything. Casper's not doing anything. He's just being quiet. Can you please be quiet? Please? I don't want to kiss. Okay. But I'm probably going to have, my energy is probably going to have to go down because when I'm really excited, he gets really excited and he starts making a lot of noise. So I'm more than likely going to have to lower my tone a little bit. So I'm sorry if my energy isn't there. I'm just trying to calm him down. So money can't solve everything. There was a lot of problems between Tonya and Fred in their marriage. When Ethan was 9 years old, they actually filed for divorce in 2006. They were told they needed to have a psychological evaluation on all three of them, Fred, Ethan, and Tonya. So when it was Fred's time to be evaluated, he said that he knew from the beginning, from the start, that the marriage was a mistake, that the marriage was not going to work, just like it's a mistake having this bird in my video. Up, up. Up, up. Where you at? Up, up. Very good. You get up there one more time, you're going in the cage. Okay? You going in the cage? So Fred said from the beginning that he knew it was a mistake marrying Tonya. He just knew from the beginning that the marriage was doomed, but he went ahead and he married her anyway. Why? I do not know. If I had those feelings when I married my husband, trust me, he would not be my husband. Tonya had a little pill problem. She was addicted to Vicodin, and what made it so bad, not only was this her addiction, but according to Fred, allegedly, she will also give Ethan Vicodin as well. Fred said that Ethan and Tonya had a very toxic, unhealthy, Norman Bates type relationship. What Tonya would do at this time in their marriage, they lived in different rooms. They slept in separate rooms. So what Tonya did, she put Ethan's bed in her bed in her room next to her bed, and she would just be like, "You're my little protector. You're my protector. You're everything. I need you, Ethan. You're my protector. I need you." And yeah, that was kind of weird and Norman Bates. And then when it came time for the psychiatrist to talk to Tonya, Tonya said that the marriage was doomed because Fred was very, very violent. She said she had to endure the daily name callings. He was physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive to her and both Ethan. And she said that he would grab her on regular occasions. He also, at one time, he threw her in the fireplace. Now, the police were called out to their home, but no one was ever arrested. I'm getting loud again, so if it's getting loud again, I'm so sorry. There. Okay, so Casper is just here so quiet, and Danny is just so loud, and I am so sorry. But again, I'm gonna take my tone down again so that he can kind of calm down. It's like he's in competition to see who can be louder, me or him. Tonya actually said that Fred had even thrown her in the fireplace before. Now, the police, they had been called out to the home because of domestic disturbances, but no one ever went to jail. Fred never went to jail. He was just told to leave the home. She explained that is why she said that Ethan was her protector, because Ethan would protect her from Fred, which I don't understand how that would happen, because Ethan is like 9 years old and Fred is, I don't know how old Fred is this time, but old enough to have a wife and a son that's 9 years old. So I don't know how she felt Ethan was her protector. At first when I looked at it, I thought that maybe she meant like, you know, he's my protector and my husband won't attack me in front of Ethan, but he actually did physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse her in front of Ethan. So there was nothing that Ethan was doing. So I don't understand. So when the psychiatrist talked to Ethan, he realized that Ethan was just in between his mother and father, and Ethan said that he really wished that they wouldn't put him in the middle of it and kind of leave him out of it. And the psychiatrist said that Ethan had been adulterized. I mean, is that the right word? Let me check. Let me look at my. No, that was not the right word. The therapist actually said that Ethan had been adultified. And that he basically meaning that he, at a young age, he was put into adult situations at a young age, and that he had a very toxic and unhealthy codependent relationship with his mother. They felt like if they can handle and get him to the point where he didn't have this codependency with his mother, then he would be a really well-rounded individual, because they said that he was very patient, he was a polite child, and they thought that just his mother was making this relationship so unhealthy. Dude, you cannot stay up there. Up. Up. You're going back in the cage. I'm sorry. All right. So hopefully I can get through this video now. Ethan actually did end up staying with Tonya because Tonya was allowed to keep the 5,000 square foot ranch home that they had. Fred just had to live somewhere else. So even though Fred was not actually in the home with them, the money, the gifts, everything, it never stopped. He still spoiled his son, lavished his son with nice gifts, family vacations. They actually still spent all holidays together. This time, Tonya actually enrolled Ethan in Anderson Private School, which was a very, very plush, prestigious school. Like, this is the school to go to. If you got money, you got bank, this is the school that you want to put your child in. So, of course, they wanted the best of the best of the best for Ethan. So, of course, they enrolled him in this school. Got a reputation to keep up. You know, they got to keep their status up. So, Tonya actually would give the school very, very, very generous donations. She went on the field trips. A lot of times she would just treat the whole school and the staff to lunch. And yeah, so people who have money try to look down on people who don't have money and call them hood and ghetto and all this kind of stuff. But Tonya and Fred were billionaires, and they were super hood and they were super ghetto. The reason that I say that is because they would actually fight over Ethan in the parking lot of the school. I mean, it would get so bad that Tonya actually locked Ethan in the car and would not allow Fred to get him. They would have these big, and they're in the parking lot just yelling and screaming, just being all sorts of hood, just being all sorts of, like the young people say, ratchet, in this parking lot in front of all these people at this school, and these are millionaires. Yes. When Ethan turns 18 years old, someone, either Tonya or Fred, one of them, probably both of them, thought it was an excellent idea to buy Ethan a car. Yes. Not only did they buy him a car, like, I'm going to buy you this car when you get your license, when you turn 16, 18, or whatever the age is. I think the age in Texas was you can apply at 16. At 18, you can get like a provisional license where you can only drive with one person in the car. You can't drive with more than one person in the car. And then when you turn 21 is when you can actually get your license. I believe that's what it said for Texas. If I'm wrong, I will just put it up somewhere, or I just edit this part out, one or the other. I don't know. But so not only did they get him this car, but Ethan had no license. He's 13 years old. He had no license, no learner's permit, no provisional, no nothing. They allowed him to drive himself to school at 13 years old. Yes, they allowed their 13-year-old child to drive himself to school daily. So the head of the school, she had a problem with that. She's like, he's 13. He don't need to be driving. It's other kids in the parking lot. Like, this is dangerous. And not only is it dangerous, it's against the law. Fred did not like that. He's like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy this school, and I'm going to either fire you or anyone else that has a problem with my child driving to school. I am going to buy this school, and I'm going to make if I don't fire them, I'm going to make their lives a living HE double hockey sticks. But the head of the school was like, she wasn't backing down. She's like, no, you cannot do this. You can't have a 13-year-old child rolling up in the parking lot like this. So Fred gets upset. He's used to having his way. He's a millionaire. He has money. He's used to, and he's been giving generous donations to the school. How dare they say something about my child driving to school? So what does he do? He pulls his child out of school. Before he pulls his child out of school, he lets the head of the school know, like, hey, my son doesn't need your school. He is going to take over the family business, and he is going to be a millionaire in his own right. So he doesn't need your education. Plus, he can drive better than anybody else I know. So they enrolled Ethan in this homeschooling program, which, child, that ain't nothing come of that. So he had even more freedom, because at least when he was in school, the authority figures in his school would correct him on his behavior, would say something about his behavior. They just wouldn't allow Ethan to act and be any kind of way. But Ethan, yet and still, now at the time, the only authority figures in his life is Fred and Tonya, and they're not trying to make him do anything. They're not trying to make him be responsible. They're not disciplining him. Nothing. The only thing he can do is just not get on their nerves. That's it. As long as he don't get on their nerves, he's cool. So at this time, Ethan's now being homeschooled, and he starts experimenting with drugs and alcohol. You kind of know that was like inevitable with his mom giving him Vicodin at the age of 9 and before the age of 9. So you kind of knew that was inevitable for him to start experimenting in stronger drugs and other types of drugs. And it's not like there's anyone to report his parents. There's anyone to object this, because he's homeschooled now. So if he wanted to get high at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, I mean, where does he have to be? He doesn't have anywhere to be. No job, not actually going to school. So, I mean, what's going to stop him from doing whatever he wants to do? Surely not his parents. So, Tonya thought that, since Ethan was a boy and Fred was a man, that she would allow Fred to be the disciplinarian in the family. So, of course, whenever Ethan would do something that Fred didn't like, Fred will punish him by taking away his Xbox or taking away his phone or something like that. But what Tonya would do, she would always go behind Fred's back and buy him another one. They got money, they're millionaires. Buy him another Xbox, buy him another phone, and just give it back to him. So basically, there was no punishment. If Fred did try to lay down the law and say, hey, you did the XYZ, I'm taking your Xbox. He would take the Xbox, and all Tonya would do is just go buy him another one. Are you asleep? There was no consequences. There was no punishment, no consequences. Fred thought he was doing something, but Tonya was going right behind his back and just undoing everything that he was trying to do. Even though they lived in separate households, they still did the discipline together, and they still celebrated all the holidays together. Now, Fred actually was known for his 4th of July fireworks. He was known for it. I mean, he had these big, extravagant fireworks, and that's something that he and Ethan did together. So when Ethan was 14 years old, on the 4th of July, after they got done grilling, eating, they feeling good. Okay, now it's dark. Now it's time to go outside and let off these fireworks. And so he's running around looking for Ethan. Ethan's friends over there, and ain't nobody saying nothing. Like, when we know where he at, but we ain't about to tell you. So he finds Ethan, and Ethan is passed out drunk. Fred is livid. He is so upset. But Fred is not upset about the fact that his child is drunk. He's upset about the fact that he spent all this money on these fireworks, and he can't enjoy it with his son. He has enjoyed it with the other kids. Not the fact that his son is drunk. That's not the issue. The issue is he can't do it with his son. Again, he was not upset that his son was drunk. He was upset that he had to settle for the other kids and not his son. Like, what's wrong with these parents, y'all? No, I know money do a lot of things, but I didn't think money made you stupid. I mean, maybe it's not nice when you call people stupid, but in the words of Forrest Gump, stupid is, or stupid does. So at this time, Fred is having the house that they already had was on 6 acres in Burleson, Texas, and it was a 500 square foot home. Fred is having a home built in Fort Worth, and it is a 7,000 square foot mansion. Also, and it's on 3 acres of land. Also on the property in the back of the house, they have this big, huge 2-story guest house that's just as lavish as the mansion is. Like, just because it's a guest house, like, it's still amazing. And so Tonya is looking at Fred like, you know what? He about to build this big old house. I think I'm gonna get us another chance. So she moves her little self right on into this 7,000 square foot home with Fred, and they end up remarrying. I'm not saying Tonya's a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. So it's 2011 when they get remarried, and my pastor always says, when talk about exes and stuff, he was like, I'm not gonna chew my food twice. If I divorce you one time, I'm not remarrying you, because there's a reason that I divorced you. And I know that people change, but we ain't going down that road again. We're not going down that road again. At this time, Ethan is really starting to withdraw from his parents. As close as he and Tonya were, he really started to pull away from Tonya. And you know they had that big Norman Bates type relationship with his mother. And so he really started to pull away from Tonya. So at this time, Ethan is 14 years old, I believe. And they decided that it would be a wise idea to just let him stay in this 5,000 square foot home in Burleson, Texas, while they live in their 7,000 square foot home in Fort Worth. Yeah, so a 14-year-old is living alone. The only thing that was in the house was, I believe it was a television, Xbox, a bed, and a couch, I believe. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, and of course if he has an Xbox, there is a big screen TV as well. So he also had a big screen TV. That's all that's in the house. I mean, you're 14 years old. What else do you need? Fred would stop by the house once a week, just to check out and see how things was going. So one morning, Fred comes over, just to pop up and see. Let me see what this boy up to over here all by himself, being 14 years old in this big old house by himself that we left him in. But he goes in, and there are beer cans everywhere. Beer cans all over the house, just everywhere. So he wakes Ethan up. Of course, Ethan's drunk, having a hangover, whatever you want to call it. He wakes Ethan up, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on here? Whose beer cans are these? I know this is your house. I know I left you here with no supervision, but whose beer cans are these?" And Ethan is like, "They're my cousins." And I'm pretty sure Fred knew he was lying. So Ethan is now working at the family business with his friend Garrett. There was one rule that Fred had. They didn't have many rules, but one rule that Fred had was, do not touch my Firebird. I believe for him to act that way with that car, that it probably was a classic Firebird. I don't know for sure. I may try to find a picture up. I don't know. I believe it was a classic or antique Firebird. It may have been one that was restored, but like no one was to touch or drive that car. So Fred comes over and he realizes that someone has driven the Firebird. This is what he gets upset about. He doesn't get upset about coming and finding beer cans all over the house and his son drunk. He gets upset about his Firebird. So this should let you know just where these parents' priorities are, how materialistic and superficial they are, because you don't care about your son getting drunk. You only care about this Firebird. He grounds Ethan. He takes Ethan keys and tells Ethan, "You're going to have to walk the 1 mile to and from work. This is your punishment." So, of course, which a mile isn't that far to walk. If me, with my big old behind, can walk a mile and not have a problem, Ethan can walk a mile. He's 14 years old. He can walk a mile. So, but Ethan didn't want to do that, of course. So what does he do? He called Mommy Bates. Hi, sweetheart. And of course, we know what she did. What she does is she allows Ethan to drive her car behind Fred's back. This right here, I really didn't understand, because how does Fred not see the car when Ethan is coming to work? Does he park down the street and just walk to work? How is he not realizing that this car isn't at home in the garage or in the driveway? I'm not really understanding why that Ethan had his wife's truck. Like, do you have that many vehicles that you don't realize that one is missing? But anyway, let's not get stuck on that. So he's now driving Tonya's F-150. In 2013, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. This is his first run-in with the law. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. He stopped to take a little tinkle on the side of a Family Dollar in the parking lot at 1 a.m. So this police officer sees him. He pulls over, and not only does he notice that he's out here tinkling and he's obviously drunk, he sees a naked 14-year-old girl passed out in the passenger side of this truck. So he asks Ethan, like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And Ethan, with his disrespectful self, no regard for law enforcement, says, "What does it look like I'm doing?" And so instead of locking him up, instead of charging him with anything, like, there are like 255 laws that he just broke. You have a minor with the possession of alcohol. I believe it was Miller Lite that they saw in the truck. So you have a youngster in the possession of alcohol. You have an open container. You have driving with no license. You have driving under the age. You have indecent exposure. You have public urinating. Yes, that is a crime in every state. You have public intoxication. Disorderly conduct. You have so many laws that this 15, 14-year-old child has just broken, and he's not charged. He's not charged with any of it. Mommy's called. Tonya comes, she has her checkbook, and she pays off all of his fines. She's telling Ethan, do not tell your father. Your father will have a fit if he know that I let you use my truck and that you were drunk and you were driving. Your father will have a fit. Do not tell your father. Again, I don't understand how Fred didn't notice that this car was no longer in his driveway and his wife wasn't driving it to work. I just don't understand. Hey, Doodles. So I know you're probably like me, just wondering, like, what happened to the 14-year-old girl in the truck? They left her there. They just left her there. And so later on, when Tonya was asked about the girl that was in the truck, she says, and I quote, let me get it right. Let me find that part. She says, that morning, her mom picked her up, I guess. I don't know. No concern for this other child whatsoever. No concern whatsoever. She pays off all of Ethan's court costs and fees. So Ethan is actually ordered to do community service and an alcohol awareness class. He does not complete either of them. When the judge asks about it, Tonya says she misread it and it was not Ethan's fault, it was her fault. Again, no responsibility, no accountability that this child is being held to. Nothing. Now we're going to skip forward. Ethan is 16 years old. His substance abuse and his and his alcoholism is spiraling out of control. And he starts dating 15-year-old Star. He and Star break up, and she actually starts to date his best friend Garrett. As you remember, Garrett works down at the his father's metal roofing company with him. So all three of them, Star, Garrett, and Ethan, they still hang out together. Even though she dated both of them, they still hang out together. There was no problem. Ethan would try to, show out or whatever sometimes to try to impress her, but there was no problems, no drama. And so they will hang out at Ethan's house, but they will also hang out at in the guest house at the house at the 7,000 square foot home in Fort Worth. And when they will hang out there, a lot of times Fred wouldn't even know that they were there. I know that this is a big house, but he wouldn't even know that they were there most of the time. What Tonya would do, she would supply them liquor. She would help them get drunk. That's what she did. She had no problem. She's like, y'all can be here. Y'all can drink. Just do not make a lot of noise because I do not want Fred to know that you are here. So they decided to have a house party. And this is because it was Garrett's birthday. And then they also had a friend that was getting ready to go off to the army. So they decided to have a house party at Ethan's house, the house in Burleson, Texas, the 5,000 square foot home in Burleson, Texas. So Star really didn't want to go to the party because the weekend before they had gotten together and she just got extremely drunk. She was in one of those drunks where your life flashed before your eyes. Do you remember the last time you got drunk like that? And you just completely, the first time I got drunk like that, where I was throwing up and projectile vomiting and everything, I remember I was praying and I was like, Lord, if you just let me, I thought I was gonna die. And I was like, Lord, if you just let me get through this, I promise you, I would never drink again in my life. And then later on in life, I became an alcoholic, like crazy. But yeah, I know what Star went through, and she was for real with her. It's like, I'm not drinking anything else. No, I am not. So, but because Garrett was her boyfriend, she had to go to the party because Garrett was her boyfriend. At this time, Ethan is actually driving his father's huge Ford F-350, like the huge Ford F-350 dually trucks, like the really big trucks. So he's actually driving that truck because his truck is in the shop. And it's the night of the party. They post invites on social media, and really no one came there. And Garrett says, hey, we have some friends out in Keller, Texas that want to come, but you got to go get them. They don't have a ride. Before they leave out, they do some shots, they eat, and then they pile up in the truck. And they go out to Keller, Texas to get these friends. When they first left to go out to Keller to get Garrett's friends, it was obvious that Ethan was drunk. He sees this big, huge field. He rides in the field and he starts just doing donuts in this big, freshly mowed field. Like, why are you doing this? Like, stop. they had an agreement that everyone was going to spend the night at Ethan's house. So at that point, they didn't care what they did, what they drank. They just did not care. So Star is literally miserable at this party because everyone is drinking. She's not drinking. If you've ever been the designated driver before and everyone is getting drunk and acting a fool and they're just irritating and annoying you, because what's funny when you're drunk is not funny when you're sober. So it's like it's more stupid and annoying when you're sober. And that's kind of like what Star was going through. But then Star gets her monthly and she's at Ethan's house. She wasn't expecting it to happen. She's like, you know, of course Ethan doesn't have any products in his house for her to, you know, take care of herself. So she tries to call two taxi companies so that she can be taken home, and none of them pick up. So she can't, and neither of them pick up. So she does not have a way home. She's talking to Garrett and she's telling Garrett what's going on, and Ethan finds out some kind of way what's happening with her, and he offers to drive her home. And she's like, no, you're too drunk, it's too dangerous, it's too late, you're not driving me home. And so she needs products though. So like, what are you gonna do? Ethan finally says, okay, if you don't feel comfortable with me driving you home, there's a convenience store right up the street. We can get what you need and we can come right back. It's like a mile up the street. And so she's like, okay, a mile, maybe, yes. Before they go outside, Ethan takes a shot of Everclear. Let me tell you something. Listen to me closely. Listen to me real closely. If you don't take anything else from this video, anybody who drinks Everclear, stay away from them. Get away. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Run for your life. Everclear is, man, it's 60 to 95% alcohol. Yeah. Most drinks, like they have like 30 proof, 40 proof, 20 proof, 60 proof. No. That's lightweight. Everclear is 120 to 191 proof. That's just how strong it is. It's so strong that it is in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the strongest alcoholic beverage. It is so strong that Everclear is actually banned and illegal in some states. This should just let you know how real it is, how bad Everclear is. If you're around anyone who is drinking Everclear, run for your life, because this person has no regard for their life or yours. Run. Get away from them, because something bad is about to happen. The manufacturer itself tells you that Everclear is not meant to be drank straight. It's not meant to be drank straight. Ethan was doing shots of Everclear. Everclear is so strong that it gets you drunk so fast before your body even realizes it. So you can be actually drunk before your body actually starts showing the effects of Everclear. So if you keep drinking, thinking you're not feeling anything, it's because the effects of it are so fast that your body just can't keep up. Again, if you're around anyone drinking Everclear, run. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get out.
Get out. Sorry, man. Okay. Get out!
Get away. Do not engage. Disengage. Go. Bye-bye. Spare yourself. Leave immediately if you see someone drinking Everclear. None of them were 21 years old. So the way they got this alcohol, I don't know why they just didn't ask Tonya. Tonya would have got it from, but they were actually on camera caught stealing the alcohol from Walmart about an hour before everything that happened is about to happen. So not only is it alcohol, it is alcohol, Xanax, Valium, and they were smoking Mary Jane. So it's all this mixed together. So Ethan is lit. So they go outside getting ready to get in the truck. They look at the guys from Keller. Ethan's like, I don't know these guys. Someone needs to stay with them. Gary's looking at him like, nah, you're not going anywhere with Star by yourself. I need to watch you with my girl. So Ethan's like, they can't stay here, so everyone just needs to pile up in the truck. So when they're getting ready to go out to the truck, there's this big box fan that is in the yard or on the porch in the driveway or whatever. Ethan just picks it up and smashes it, and Star is kind of looking like, man, stop the stupid stuff. And she's having second thoughts. And Gary actually reassures her and says, I've seen this man drive in worse conditions than this. We're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. He'll be able to get us to the store and back because I've seen him drive plenty of times in worse conditions than this. So she trusts her man. And she decides to go ahead and go off to the store. So Ethan and another friend, I believe it was a friend going to the army, gets in the front seat. Star and Garrett gets in the back seat, and the two friends from Keller, Texas, they get in the bed of the truck. Ethan pulls out of the driveway and revs the engine and just speeds off, and he starts playing chicken with other cars on this 2-lane highway going about 70 miles per hour. Let's switch gears for just a minute. So while all of this is going on, you have Eric, Holly, and Chevy Ball, and that is mother, father, and daughter. So Chevy, their daughter, she's on break from nursing school, and she's home because it's a Saturday, and that Sunday, the next day, was going to be Father's Day. And so she wanted to come home and spend time with her father. What they did was they ate dinner as a family, their favorite dinner, which is fried chicken, and then they watched a movie together. Also at the same time, you have Kevin and Alicia McConnell. So they are actually hosting a high school graduation party for Evan Jennings, which his mother was Pastor Ethan, Pastor Eric. These names are getting confused. Pastor Brian and his wife Shanna Jennings. So the party's coming to a close. Pastor Brian actually took a bunch of chairs and everything from the church. So he's folding up the chairs, piling them up in his truck, and getting ready to leave the party. So then we have Miss Brianna Mitchell. Brianna Mitchell is 24 years old. She is actually a chef at a country club, and she's coming home from a catering job. She really didn't like the catering job because she did get off kind of late sometimes, and she had to drive home by herself, and she was afraid that if something might happen to her on the road. And this particular night, that's exactly what happened to her. She has a flat tire right in front of right in front of the boys' home. And they hear the commotion outside. They're done eating. They hear the commotion outside. When she had the flat tire, she actually ran off the road, hit the mailbox, and she's into the Bowles' yard, in front of their yard. And so Eric, his wife, Holly, and Shelby, they all go outside to help. Pastor Jennings is actually passing by at this time, and really? He's chewing something. So Pastor Jennings is actually passing by at the time. He actually has 2 teenage boys in his truck with him as well. So as he's passing by, he's a pastor. He's a good guy. He stops and he wants to help as well. Brianna is upset. She felt like, she messed up the mailbox, and she was really upset. And Eric Balls goes to tell her, he's like, no, everything's fine. We're here to help you. We're just glad that you're okay. We're just glad that you're safe. Let's just get you home. And so he picks up the mailbox and he takes it to the front of his house and puts it in his house. And at this time, you have Brianna, Shelby, and Holly, which are mother and daughter, Eric's wives, Boyle, and you have Pastor Jennings. They're all standing in front of Brianna's truck. Ethan is coming down the road at 75 miles per hour on a 2-lane road in a huge F-350. So he's still playing chicken, going back and forth. And I guess at this point in time, of course, he's drunk, severely drunk and high. So Ethan is coming down the road at 70 miles per hour. He runs into Brianna's truck, pushes her truck out of the way. Then he hits the 4 people just standing there. He hits Pastor Brian's truck, and then Ethan's truck flips over. So it actually showed that there were no skid marks in the road, no proof, nothing to show that he even tried to brake. So he hit these people with no protection. They don't have protection of a car. He just hit them. Car, F-350 on person. He just hit them. Eric Bowles is inside the house, putting the mailbox in the house. He says that the collision was so loud, it sounded like an explosion, and it literally shook his house like he was in an earthquake.
I felt,
we don't live in California, but you'd almost think you just had an earthquake. I mean, the house shook.
So he runs outside and he just sees this scene, and of course he's running to try to find his wife, Shelby, and his wife Holly, and his daughter Shelby.
I'm calling out Holly and Shelby as I walk, and I kind of got halfway between the road and my fence, and that's when I found Holly. And when I found her, I mean, there was no doubt that she was.
Then he starts to look for Shelby, his daughter. Shelby the impact had been so hard on Shelby that it threw her into a fence, and he said that her body was so torn and mangled that she didn't even look like herself. Like, can you imagine a father finding his daughter that way? Like, can you imagine? Just horrific. Kevin McConnell pulls up on the scene. When he pulls up on the scene, he sees all the chairs, so he immediately knows this is Pastor Brian Jennings' truck, that he's been involved in the accident, because he recognized the chairs from the party. And remember, Mr. McConnell was the man who hosted the high school graduation party for Pastor Brian Jennings' son. So he runs and he finds Pastor Jennings, and he tries to do CPR. At this time, Pastor Jennings' wife, Shauna, she actually pulls up, and she's actually trying to help them as well. So the two boys, and I know you probably want, the two boys that were on the back of Ethan's truck, the F-150, the red F-150, they're actually, of course, thrown from the bed of the truck, and they are severely injured. It's so bad that one of the young men had a brain injury, and he cannot speak or move to this day. The other young man, he sustained internal injuries and broken bones. At this time, 7 911 calls actually go through at one time, just come through at one time, back to back to back to back to back. And the longest amount of time was about 4 minutes apart. And you can go, I will not play the 911 calls. I could not listen to all of them myself. The one that I did hear was so graphic and horrific and just traumatizing. I do not recommend anybody look up these calls and listen to these 911 calls. I will give you just a little synopsis or an example or a little, and just tell you how some of the calls were. Like, the calls were coming through, like, people were screaming, and the 911 operator is like, can you stop screaming and tell me what's going on? And you can hear people moaning in the background. This one person called and said all you can see is just car parts and just body parts everywhere. They had no idea how many people was injured. They had no idea whose body parts these were. It was just a horrific scene. Like I said, I do not recommend that anyone listen to these 911 calls. I probably already traumatized you myself, but do not listen to the 911 calls. Don't do it. When the officers get to the scene, they said it looked more like a plane crash than a car accident. They said that the debris and body parts and car parts and everything, it went out 300 feet. This is just how much the impact was. It was 300 feet from the actual site. It's just stuff was just thrown everywhere, thrown up to 300 feet. That is a long way. I know you're probably wondering, like, where is Ethan in all this? Is Ethan dead? Is Ethan alive? Where is Ethan in all this? Ethan literally walked away from the accident, left the scene of the crime, left the scene of the accident. Ethan actually walked away. So Shauna Clark and her son Corbin, they're driving down the road, and they see a teen just passed out in a ditch. Of course, you can guess it's Ethan. So he just killed all these people and just walked away from the scene. He keeps telling Corbin, hey, just remember my name, I can get you out of all this. Just remember my name, I can get you out of all this.
And I kept saying, hey, what's your name? What's your name? He said, what's your name? And he said, hey, man, I'm Ethan. I can get you out of all this. I was like, I guess he thought I was involved. But he was like, yeah, just remember my name. I'll get you out of all this. He kept saying that.
No remorse, nothing, not even asking if his friends are okay, not even asking if the people that he hit was okay. It's just saying, I got you, I can get you out of this. Just remember my name, I'm the man, I'm Ethan, I can get you out of this. Originally, Ethan actually refused to receive medical attention. he kept saying, he was like, he can't afford an ambulance ride, which we all know that's a lie. They're millionaires for now. He finally gets medical attention, and it's found that his blood alcohol limit is 0.24, which is 3 times the legal limit for an adult, and he's 16 years old. And it was also found in the tox screen, it was also found that he had Valium and Mary Jane in his system. So he's just all kind of messed up. With all of this, Ethan was not even arrested. Yes, Ethan was not arrested. You got vehicular manslaughter. You have hit and run. You have leaving the scene of an accident. Public intoxication because he was passed out in a ditch drunk. Driving under influence. Intoxication assault. Intoxication manslaughter. There are all these things that Ethan could have been charged for. He was not charged for anything. Ethan just was let go. So of course, the public starts to find out about it, and they're outraged. Like, you just killed 4 people and injured 2 people. One person will never talk, never move for the rest of his life, and there's nothing done. You're not even sent to jail. There's nothing done. All Ethan did, he walked away with a hangover, bruised, broken ribs, I think a broken neck, and a broken arm. I believe that is what he walked away with. When you have 4 people are dead, you have impacted so many lives. Like, imagine being a father and you lose your wife and your daughter in such a horrific way at 1 o'clock in the morning. So it actually was Father's Day that you lost your wife and you saw their mangled bodies. Imagine psychologically what that would do to a father, what that would do to a person. Like, and Ethan is just like out chilling, no issues, out chilling. So the public people begin to make noise, and the public begins to hear about it, and then it becomes, like national news. People are talking about it in the news. So now the police are like, okay, we got to do something. We got to do something now. So this is just like the Ahmaud Arbery case in Brunswick, Georgia, where I think he was killed like February 23rd of 2020. Social media got wind of it. Some celebrities got wind of it, and they start making noise. And I think they arrested, it was like May 2020, May 7, 2020, I believe. Let me make sure. Let me look that up. Okay, yeah, so it was like May 7, 2020. And there are it was about 3 months. And if there haven't been an public outcry and people didn't know about it, then I don't think anyone would have been arrested. It was 3 months and no one had been arrested. Same thing with Ethan. Public outcry is the only reason that he was arrested. So he was arrested and he was charged as an adult, and there were 4 counts of intoxicated manslaughter, and there were 2 counts of intoxicated assault. Prosecution wanted to give Ethan 20 years for this. 20 years, in which I think that is fitting. I mean, 20 years, I think that's fitting. You're 14 years old, 16 years old, you would have been out at 36. So I think that 20 years was fit. They felt good. He had pled guilty. They felt good. They was like, this is a slam dunk. This is good. But as y'all know, money talks. Money talks. So they paid a psychiatrist, I believe it was $15,600. And I have that psychiatrist's name. It was G. Dick Miller. This, such a fitting name. This psychiatrist said that Ethan was the victim. He had grown up and had such a affluent lifestyle that he didn't know the difference between right and wrong, because he never had to suffer any of the consequences for any of his choices. So he was the victim of his family's wealth and the fact that he was a spoiled brat, basically. So he said that Ethan had a case of affluenza. Now, at first, I was thinking like, okay, so is this is the flu like syphilis, where it messes up your brain or something? Syphilis, you have it so long, it messes with your brain. So did he have influenza and it just messed up his brain? Because I'm thinking like, he is pronouncing this wrong. He's a psychiatrist and he don't even know how to say influenza. But come to find out, he created this word and he knew what he was saying, affluenza. So I looked it up, and it's not a medically recognized term. Psychiatrists have been very critical of this defense and this use of this word affluenza. I did look it up in the Urban Dictionary, and it says, a legal defense to avoid the consequences of one's own actions. Some who suffers from affluenza believes wealth allows them to get away with anything. He said because his parents never paid attention to him. His parents never made him accountable for any of his actions or anything that he did, that it was his parents' fault and not his fault. So he should not be held accountable for killing 4 people, injuring 2 people. One of those 2 people will not ever speak or walk again. Therefore, Ethan, was the victim. Ethan was the victim, the one that chose to drink and drive. The one that chose to leave the scene. He was the victim. So, hold on to your seats because this ride about to get bumpy. I can't even talk. See, you know when I get frustrated about a case, I begin to not be able to talk, and I can't even talk. So, the judge sentences Ethan to 10 years probation and 1 year at a very plush rehab facility. Now, people were upset the fact that he was sent to this rehab facility, and it was on the taxpayers' dime. Because Ethan's parents, Fred and Tonya, I always want to say Fred and Ginger. Fred and Tonya, they had actually had so many lawsuits. Majority of the lawsuits were settled out of court, so it's an undisclosed amount except for one of them, and the truck was registered in the company's name, so the company took a big hit. And they had lost a lot of their fortune. They had lost a lot of money paying out these lawsuits. Medical, there were property damage lawsuits, and as well as personal injury lawsuits. Someone at this facility, they allowed his itinerary to get out because they were outraged. They wanted people to know what was happening to this kid who is not like a rehab center. I know y'all I know you probably heard about the Danielle Bergali where Dr. Field was sending those kids. It wasn't that type of rehab center. It was a rehab center where this is the itinerary. He had one-on-one cooking classes, horseback riding lessons, yoga and meditation, therapy, a personal nutritionist, limited beach access, mixed martial arts, gym. This sounds better than some of the vacations I've went on. I mean, come on. So he had a year at this plush place on the taxpayers' dime. Plus, after that, he had 10 years of probation. Mr. G. Dick Miller was getting a lot of heat for this sentencing. And he said something that I do agree with. He said that the judge had full disclosure. He knew everything. All he did was present an argument, but it was the judge's discretion of how much time he wanted to give him. So even though the psychiatrist came up with the term and actually this was and helped the defense out, the judge still could have given him those 20 years if he wanted to. This was at the judge's discretion. So I agree with the psychiatrist there when he said that it wasn't right what he did, but also the sentencing was not in his hands. Let's talk about Judge Gene Boyd. So the same Judge Gene Boyd, had just sentenced a 10-year-old boy for 10 years for punching someone. Now, granted, he did punch a young man. The young man's name was Mark Gregory, who was punched. And when he was punched, he fell and he hit his head, and he died in the hospital 2 years later. So this 14-year-old kid punched someone, not killed 4 people, and injured 2, but he punched someone. That kid fell, hit his head, kid died. So the judge determined that the 14-year-old was responsible for this kid's death and gave him 10 years in a youth facility or a prison.
I looked at the website. I looked at what his schedule is going to be every day of the week, and it's cooking classes, one-on-one nutritional counseling, mixed martial arts, gym, equine therapy. He gets to ride horses, yoga, meditation. He has gym access. He can get beach access. If he's on good behavior, he can get television access. How is that punishment in any form for killing 4 people? You're concerned about the justice system. You live in this community. Is this justice? I mean, I know that maybe the kid won't have his Xbox, but I'd love to go to a facility for a year and do meditation and yoga and learn cooking skills and have one-on-one nutritional counseling and ride horses. You know, that sounds great to the man who has lost his wife and his daughter and sees this young man who has ruined his life, has killed his wife, has killed his daughter, has killed 2 other people as well. What consequence is there really for him killing 4 people?
For 10 years, the judge will have the discretion at any time she chooses to send this kid to the penitentiary.
But this same judge sentenced a 14-year-old, not affluent African American child, young man, who killed one person after punching that person and they fell down and hit their head. This judge sent that 14-year-old to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department for 10 years. And that kid is going to be in there till they're 19 years old. Does that seem fair? This is a prime example that there's a separate system of justice.
And people, they have argued that Mark Gregory's death was a lot more violent. Like hitting someone with your fist is intentional and a lot more violent than what Ethan did. And what Ethan did was actually reckless and not violent. Oh, Jesus. So, to combat that argument, let's go back a little further. And on February the 13th of 2004, 16-year-old Eric Bradley Miller, he talked his grandfather into giving him $10. He told his grandfather that he wanted to rent a movie, I believe. Yeah. He told his grandfather that he wanted to rent a movie. He actually bought some vodka and stole a pickup truck at the convenience store. So he drove off with the lights off. So he killed 19-year-old father and husband, Mr. Philip Andrews. His blood alcohol level was 0.11, not even double the legal limit. Ethan's was 3 times the legal limit. It was 0.24. Now both of them did wrong, don't get me wrong, but this kid killed 1 person. Ethan killed 4 and permanently injured 2, severely injured 2. He was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years behind bars. 20 years behind bars. Eric's mother was a drug addict and he was raised by his grandfather. I don't understand why he wasn't considered a victim of his surroundings like Ethan was. Because the judge herself said, the court is aware you had a sad childhood, but you are fortunate to have a grandfather who is so committed and loves you. I hope you will take advantage of the services offered by Texas Youth and turn your life around. And now what's the argument? Because that's this person that, that crime wasn't actually violent if you don't call Ethan's crime violent, but he killed 1 person. Ethan killed 4, severely injured 2. And this one is 20 years. 20 years. 20 years in prison. The difference is Ethan is a rich white boy. These other 2 boys, that's the difference. And now the psychiatrist himself even said, and I quote, no secret that when you have money, you can afford better health. And that's what happened in Ethan Couch's case.
If you have money?
If you have a lot of money, you get people with more skills. You get a better singer. We have you tonight. I'm sure that, you make more than the local guy here. That's just the way the world works. And there's some good things about that, some not so good.
Ethan had been released, and on December 2nd of 2015, a video airs of Ethan at a party. Part of his probation is he can't even be around alcohol. So he had no business at the party. Not only is he at the party, he's obviously intoxicated, laughing, just living it up.
A video surfaced of Ethan Couch at a party where there was alcohol.
Watch this guy clownishly leap onto the table. Right there, that's Couch, laughing hysterically without a care in the world.
Not a care in the world. You've killed 4 people. You've destroyed a man's life by taking his wife and his daughter. You've destroyed another family's life by taking a father and a husband and a son, of course, and you've destroyed another person's life by taking their beautiful 24-year-old daughter away from them. Like, you're at a party just living it up, having a good time, not a care in the world. When this video surfaces, is obviously a violation of his probation, and Ethan is contacted like, hey, you need to come in for a drug test. What does Ethan do? Mommy, help me, save me, mommy. So what mommy does, Tonya, she goes and she withdraws $30,000 out of the bank. She tells Fred, say goodbye to your son. You're never going to see us again. We're leaving. We're going to Mexico. So they go to Mexico. While they're in Mexico, Ethan is drinking every night and going and getting drunk and at the strip clubs every single night. What Ethan's downfall was food. Ethan wanted some pizza. See, he should have cooked that night. He should have had his mama Tonya cook that night. Ethan wanted some pizza. So he orders some pizza, uses his phone, uses his name. And so the U.S. Marshals had already reached out to Mexico to help them find Ethan. So, of course, he didn't get that pizza, but he did get the police. A few days on December the 30th, they extradited Tonya back to the U.S. Ethan had stayed in this Mexican jail for about a month before they extradited him back to the United States. So he gets sent back to the United States on January the 28th of 2016. He's only sentenced to 2 years in prison. 2 years in prison for violating his parole and fleeing. He only gets 2 years in prison. What happened to those 10 years of probation? I always thought that when you were on probation and you violate your probation or your parole, whatever time you had left on probation or parole, that's the time you had to be in prison for. But he was only in prison for 2 years. After those 2 years that he was in prison, he was released off of his probation. So he didn't even do the 10 years probation. He did, I think 2 years of probation. His probation would have been up in 3 years of probation. His probation would have been up in 2024. They let him off probation in 2017, which means that there were 7 years that he didn't have to be on probation. I mean, are you serious? Are you kidding me? So for killing 4 people, severely injuring 2 people, breaking all kind of laws that he wasn't even charged for, he did 1 year at a plush at the taxpayer's expense, rehab facility, and about 3 years of probation. Like, you can't be serious. So the story ends there. Ethan's out and about somewhere. I didn't even want to look up Ethan Couch in 2021 because there's no telling what Ethan's been into. So I'll put some links down in the description box below. Let me know what you think of this story. Do you think that it was fair what Ethan got? Do you think he should have got more time? What do you think that a more fitting punishment would have been for killing these people? I mean, let me know in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for joining me in my second episode of Parrots and True Crime. I forgot what it's called, Parrots and True Crime. Please let me know what you think. Leave comments in the comment section below. Even if you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. It's okay. I promise you it is not a problem. Thank you so much for watching, and as usual, toodaloo. Bye-bye.